Hi, welcome to my channel. Welcome if you're new here, and if you're returning, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you. So today I'm actually doing a reading specifically for the Starseed Collective. So if you resonate with that title, if you feel like you have some kind of galactic origins in your soul history, if galactic energy is something that calls to you or resonates with you, then this reading is going to have a message for you. So while I was meditating before the reading, I was called to pull a card to just kind of get the general energy for this reading, or the general message for this reading. And two cards came out. So the first one actually was this one, was Nurturing Touch. Allow yourself to be held in a caring hug. And the second card was Sovereignty. You have power over your mind, body, and spirit. So, aren't these cards beautiful? This is the Light Code Apothecary by Izzy Ivy. And I love the artwork and the energy on these cards. The interesting thing with these two cards that came out together, they fell out together when I was shuffling, is they're sort of opposite energies. So the one speaks about connection with others, and the other speaks about sovereignty, right? Standing in your own power, your own energy. And they're coming out together. So there's a message here about needing to be in connection with others while maintaining your own sovereignty. So having really strong boundaries with others. So I'm going to pull some tarot in just a minute. I'm actually being called to pull one more card from that deck, the Sovereignty of the Light Code Apothecary. So let's see what else comes out. We've also got number 8, which is interesting because that is on this Nurturing Touch card. And for me, 8 is a number of personal sovereignty, personal power. And the Sovereignty card has number 33 on it. So you may be seeing 3s a lot right now. This morning in my own meditation, I pulled 3 angel numbers and they all had 3s in them, or like multiples of 3s. So that may be really significant for you. So like look out for that. For me, like 3s are a number of really connecting with high level beings, ascended masters, angels, galactic beings. So that's coming through strongly here. So yeah, there's this message about, really being in your own power, but not letting go of connections. It can be a real challenge sometimes to be your own person while you're in relationship with others. And this can be all sorts of relationships in your life, not just romantic relationships, but your family relationships, your friends, your coworkers, just other people. And it's really about having not just strong boundaries, but to also kind of soften those boundaries sometimes. Sometimes we become so strong in our sovereignty, and I'm really feeling like that's what I'm connecting to, are people who do have good boundaries, but sometimes those boundaries can be a little bit too strong and a little bit prickly. I'm seeing like a porcupine in my mind's eye. So, we can be a little bit defensive is the word that's coming through with that. And this card says, allow yourself to be held in a caring hug. So don't be so much in your own energy and your own power that you can't let others in. And I'm feeling like this is just something that you're going through in your life. Like this is a big theme, excuse me, for you as a starseed, where you're learning how to do that in this lifetime. Starseeds often feel very different and have a hard time connecting with those who aren't starseeds. And you don't often realize that until later in life, and you start coming into the realization of your galactic origins. And it starts to make sense when you start having these realizations of being more, of having a, being more than just a human, or being more than a soul who's only had human incarnations. And it's actually really a relief to understand yourself as like a multi-dimensional being, and it helps kind of explain why maybe sometimes you feel like you don't fit in, why you're so different, why you've always had a different, almost like perspective on life than those around you. And that is something that's very, very common for starseeds. So I feel like I'm speaking to a collective who is starting to realize that and embrace that. And being different is okay. And you really sort of have to work at having relationships with humans, I'm hearing. So, you may have a really strong DNA that is very galactic in nature, okay? This is just something I'm channeling through right now. And Spirit's saying you came here, though, you chose to have an incarnation on Earth so you could learn how to be in relationship with others, partly just to have that experience of the human, the human experience where relationships and social connections are really important. But it's also important for your mission. So part of your starseed mission has to do with connecting with others, and you've really had to learn how to let other people in. So let's see what other cards fell out here. So I got I am, accept yourself as you are, a divine spark of light. So yes, this is accepting all parts of you, all those aspects of you, both human, galactic, and otherwise. Like your soul has had many incarnations. I'm connecting to very old souls. You've had incarnations in all sorts of different realms, I'm hearing, different galaxies. And just accepting who you are, and that you do need to sometimes have strong boundaries, because sometimes being on this planet is very difficult, and it can really take a toll really on your energetic system, your nervous system, more than anything else. So I am connecting with many people who have very sensitive nervous systems. You would identify yourself as a highly sensitive person. So learning how to manage and modulate like incoming sensory information has been something that you have had to learn how to do. And you probably, as a child, as a young person, struggled very much with the world being too loud, too bright, too hot, too much of all the things, and not being able to kind of just handle all of the sensory input that we have to deal with as humans on this planet, with so much coming in to our systems, to our nervous systems. And that is not something that everybody experiences. Not everyone has such a sensitive instrument as far as their physical vessel being that sensitive instrument, that sensitive nervous system that gets overloaded very quickly. And I can relate very much to this. And I still am, I'm a highly sensitive person. I was a very sensitive child. And when those around you aren't that way, they sometimes don't understand why things tend to be too much for you. I also have a child who's now an adult, but who was very much a highly sensitive person. And I'm so grateful that I also am in the same way, because I could understand how my child was the way she was, why she would react the way she did to a lot of sensory input, and how the world could sometimes really truly be too much for her on just a very physical level. And why you would need a lot of, and if you experience this also, you understand why you need a lot of time to yourself to ground, to just kind of shut all the sensory noise out, so you could come back to your own baseline energy where you feel good in your body and you're able to kind of go back out into the world and deal with it again. But you have to sort of release all of the stress that it causes on your nervous system to be in this world. Okay, the other card that came out is Recognize Triggers. Loosen the grip through awareness. This is exactly what this message is talking about. as you've gotten older, and we're all in different places in our journey where we recognize our triggers. So you may be kind of new to this, where you're just realizing like there's nothing wrong with me. The way that I have to deal with the world by taking a lot of time out, by, being introverted, being hermited for a lot of the times, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It's just the way that your body is calibrated. Like, you have a very sensitive nervous system, and that is a gift. It's a gift to be able to tune into other energies, and that is something that is probably part of your soul mission, is some kind of energy work. Just being able to empathize with others is something that is part of being very sensitive. Like, being able to feel and understand energy is something that you're probably going to use in your soul mission in some way. And in order to do that, you need to have a very sensitive instrument. But that also means that you need to just take care of it, that there's nothing wrong with needing that extra time and like extra, I want to say, like, accommodations. And you have to sort of, with this sovereignty card, do that for yourself. Like, create the environment that suits you, an environment that's calm and soothing, not too much noise, not too much light, whatever it is that keeps you feeling good and safe in your body, so you can go out into the world, this very busy, noisy world, and still like do your soul mission. So this has been like a long journey. This collective that I'm speaking to, this is a lifelong journey of learning how to balance being in connection with others. And I mean, even like hugging and like that sensory input, that the physical touch can be. Highly sensitive children often can't handle a lot of touch. They can't handle as much touch, as much physical sensation coming into their body as the average person. And they're meant to feel like they're wrong somehow, or they're just difficult, that sort of thing. So those are messages you probably received as a child, and maybe even as an adult. Like, people don't understand, like, why do you always have to leave parties early? Or, as a child, why can't you wear certain clothing, right? Because it's just a tactile thing that is just too much. And some of you may also have children who are like this. These things tend to run in families, tend to be genetic in origin. And it's just kind of learning how to navigate this human life when you're a starseed. That can be really, really challenging. And recognizing your triggers is a huge part of that. Like, just the awareness of what your personal triggers are. Every sensitive person has different triggers, and just part of the game is figuring out what those things are for you, and maybe even your children. Again, that's just coming through here. That some of you may also have highly sensitive children, and can make life very, very challenging because, average people, I don't know if average is the right word, but I don't know, like the mainstream, really, not everybody is highly sensitive. And learning how to navigate that and helping your children navigate that and understanding your own children is just part of the journey. And if you do have highly sensitive children and you're that way yourself, then that's really a gift to your children, to be able to have someone guide them that can really understand them and not just assume that they're just being difficult to be difficult. All right, I'm going to pull some tarot. So I have this Galactic Star Tarot, and this is a new deck for me. So I love it, and I'm excited to see kind of what comes out for that. Okay, that's too many. Okay, Page of Cups. I'll take this one. Wow, I love that. This is so, I definitely feel like there are people in this collective who have children who are also highly sensitive. The Page of Cups is the highly sensitive child, the highly sensitive person. So even if you're an adult, you would resonate with this energy of just being sensitive and artistic and creative, and you just have a different way of looking at life, and you may very much resonate with the inner child and feeling very like childlike still, even as an adult. Like you may have a really strong sense of wonder when it comes to the world, when you can sort of kind of sequester yourself from the craziness of the world, and you almost experience the world through like a dreamlike kind of perspective. Or that's a very fun place for you to go to, is your imagination. And you probably as a child had dream worlds that you would create, and you're probably still a very creative person and just very in touch with your inner child, and that sense of wonder that you have with the world. And that's part of your starseed origins, is you have a much broader perspective of what the world is. It's not just the earth, but it's the worlds that you've had lives in, and you bring that energy here into your human life. So yeah, Spirit's asking you to tap back into that now. Like, don't let go of this sense of wonder and joy and magic that comes from your galactic origins and your experiences in other worlds and other realms, like these imaginary, well, worlds that we would think are imaginary, but you've actually had experiences in those places, and that's very real. So I feel like I'm connecting to a collective who is probably very creative, and at least maybe even if it's not in like traditional ways, like traditional arts, but you have a very vivid imagination. You probably have very vivid dreams. Your intuition is really, really strong, but it's a very magical, like you have the ability to tap into really like different kinds of magic and different types of spirits, I'm hearing. So like fairies, unicorns, dragons, like those kinds of spiritual beings are something that would resonate really strongly with you. And Spirit's like, don't let that go just because you're an adult. Definitely connecting with adults here in this reading, but don't lose that childlike sense of wonder and, you know, connecting with your children. So this is a message that's coming through for those of you that have children who are still like younger and who still have those imaginary worlds that they create, and maybe your children are creative. Join in with them in those creative pursuits. Like I'm seeing like building fairy houses, and maybe, you know, painting with your kids, or finger painting, or, you know, whatever like little things that they like to do. Spirit saying, allow yourself that same, whether you do it with them or maybe even on your own, let yourself like be creative and just kind of let your imagination go wild. Whatever like speaks to you as far as how you can bring out that creativity, let yourself do that. And it's going to bring so much more through as far as your soul mission. It's in some way connected to your soul mission. And yeah, like it has to do with either creativity or just being creative in the way that you think, or just getting in that energy is going to give you more insight into what you're here to do. So I feel like some of you are still sort of figuring that out, and this energy, being in this energy and allowing yourself to be fun and just enjoy life. And even though life can be heavy and this world can be heavy, this is something else that's coming through. A message about this world makes us want to close down this sort of energy. Like there's so many difficult things going on in the world that you almost feel guilty for having fun and being playful and joyful and being in this sort of energy. Like, how do I do that when there's so much suffering in the world? And Spirit is saying, but this is what is needed to help elevate the vibration on the planet. Don't feel guilty. We actually need more of this. Okay, so 3 cards fell out. Actually, 2 cards. I thought it was 3, but no, it's 2. Page of Swords and the King of Swords. Just want to show you the images on these. So we're getting another page here. So there's all this like new, fresh energy. The Page of Swords loves to learn and is very curious, right? So you probably resonate with being curious and imaginative, and you love to learn new things. And this is part of the energy that Spirit wants you to embrace right now. So the King of Swords, he's really serious. He's like, well, I'm an adult now, and I need to buckle down and be serious, be focused. And Spirit is saying there's a time and a place for that, right? Like the sovereignty here, like standing in this kind of power where, you know, I've got to control like my mind, body, and spirit. And Spirit is saying, be more like the pages, be more curious and open, and more like this King of Swords, less serious, less focused. And, you know, like children with this nurturing touch. It's like allowing yourself to embrace this inner child is what I'm getting from this really strongly. You know, it started out with this message about, you know, learning how to be in relationship when you kind of feel different, and sometimes it's too much. You know, being in contact with other humans can sometimes just be too much on that sensory level. And it's okay to have boundaries. You know, with the King of Swords, he would have strong boundaries, but it's that balance, you know, of this curiosity and this fun and this enjoyment of life. And you're learning how to honor your inner child while still, you know, being this serious adult. And it says loosen the grip with this recognized triggers. Loosen the grip through awareness. Sometimes when you're a sensitive person, you can put up these boundaries to protect yourself, to keep your energy clear, to not be overwhelmed. And Spirit is saying you've gotten better at learning your triggers. And once you do that, so let me back up a minute. So before you recognize your triggers, you are getting triggered left and right, and you're just feeling overwhelmed, and like kind of like life is attacking you sometimes. And Spirit is saying you've now, you know, become this King of Swords reversed. Yeah, that was kind of a message there, how I picked it up reversed. It's like, let go of some of this control now, because you've recognized your triggers. You now have a plan in place, and you can sort of let down your guard and be open to letting in more of this fun, the spontaneity. Like if you want to do something, don't be so worried about, am I going to be overwhelmed? Is it going to be too much for me? You know what your triggers are, and you know when you can say, okay, I've had enough, and you can bow out, you know. And that's something that children, unfortunately, can't always do. You know, if they get taken places with their parents, for example, they don't always get the say-so of like when they've had too much and they want to leave. Maybe the parents aren't ready to leave yet. I mean, I can remember many events that we took our child to, and she was done like way before we were. And because we recognized her sensitivities, and that she really truly needed to either have a place where she could go where we were, where she could sort of be alone for a while and kind of decompress. That was the word that wanted to come through earlier that I wasn't getting, but it was decompressing, having a place to decompress. If you even can't like get home yet to do that, kind of having a little escape place. So the bathroom is perfect for that. And even as an adult, I still sometimes, if I start to feel overwhelmed, I will excuse myself and I will go into the bathroom, you know, and in a public place, and just spend a few minutes taking some deep breaths. And that is something that you can teach your child to do. Like, hey, when you start to feel overwhelmed, like you talk to them before they go somewhere where you think that they may be overwhelmed, It may be a highly sensory kind of experience. And you can say, hey, if you start to feel overwhelmed, and you give them language for their triggers, just say, I have to go to the bathroom. And you can go to the bathroom and be by yourself for a few minutes where it's quiet. And then you can teach them how to take deep breaths and that sort of thing. So this is something that very highly sensitive starseeds need to learn, so they can kind of manage their time here on Earth and really step into your star mission. And you'll be able to do this. You don't have to hide so much. I feel like I'm connecting to people who have had to spend a lot of time sort of kind of hiding from the world because it just gets to be too much. But Spirit's saying, recognize your triggers and have a plan. And that awareness is going to help you manage them. And accept yourself. You know, don't think that there's something wrong with you because you're different. Your sensitivity is a gift. It really, truly is. And it's what helps you be who you are. It helps you be of service to others and to do this soul mission that you have. And I feel like you all have different soul missions. And in whatever way you show up, in your soul mission, your sensitivity is going to be your strength. Okay, let me get one more tarot here. Spirit, what's your final message here for this group? And allowing yourself to be held, you know, allowing yourself to connect with others, and not just people, but just situations. Like there's just this real like opposite energy of the sovereignty, like something about, you know, getting out into the world now that you have a plan for yourself, how to handle the energy of the world. Like you're safe to do that. Okay, final tarot, Spirit. Two of Wands. Yeah, you're ready to step out into the world. Yeah, I love that. And you're always connected to Spirit and to your galactic family, and you can lean on them for help because you're not alone. I mean, starseeds all have a similar, I think, sort of sensitivity, and it may show up in different ways, but there's definitely this kind of unique sensitive energy, and that we all possess, and we can connect with one another in spaces like this to not feel so alone. And yeah, that's part of the message. And then just accepting who you are and that you're safe to take this step forward. The Two of Wands is about taking that step, you know, leaving the safety of this wand here and taking on this wand and taking that step out, you know, making plans, making progress to get out there and kind of discover your soul mission. I think Spirit's wanting you to know that you're ready to do this, and to keep in mind the energies of the Page of Swords and the Page of Wands. Just be playful and curious, and understand that your sensitivity is your superpower. All right, so I'm going to leave today's message here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this resonated with you. I would love to connect with you in the comments if this resonated with you, because I definitely resonate with this energy very much. And yeah, please like and subscribe also. I appreciate it, and I'll see you really soon.